So we have this, it's nice and dry now, and we're going to start putting in some of his hair, his little hair. So what I'm going to do for this, if you look at the picture, notice that around here it's light. All through here it's sort of like a taupey feel. So I'm thinking that that might be a little mixture of the umber and white. Maybe I'll put a little bit of blue in there just to give it a little bluish cast. But there's some warmer areas, so you can see the warm areas in here. So let's start with the tips of the ears and we'll work our way down. We can do it that way, or however you feel more comfortable. I think myself, for me, I like to work from the top down. So let's see what we can do here. Now his little tips right here, they're kind of like a little bit of a, there's some umberish color in there. So I'm going to get some of that. I have some of that mixed up actually. So I'm just going to tip it just a bit right there. Well, actually it's right in here. And then, now if you can see, some of that pink is showing through, and that's kind of what we want, actually. I'm going to go into my burnt sienna and just tip this here. Oop, a little too much on there. And I'm using a number 12 Bright. This is a social artworking paintbrush. So I think I'm going to be needing a little bit more of that sienna. Okay. Okay, so this comes down into here, like that, and it comes up. It almost kind of touches that a little bit. Then we have like a little bit darker sienna. Let me see here. Maybe just a touch of that ultramarine blue. Just a touch of ultramarine blue in there. And we'll just fill this in here. This in. Some in here. Okay, and we're going to go out a little bit. Now, I'm going to wipe my brush out. I'm not going to rinse it because I do have a little bit of the umber, raw umber and white. Just to add a little bit of the ultramarine blue that I had. And right up in here, it's kind of like that. We're just going to make little strokes here. This will be like my second coat, and then I'm going to add the hair and the furry look after. And I'm just kind of like making short little strokes. And here's some of the lighter shade of this. I'm just going to get that in there like that. Go back to my umbery color. Now I've got like a really pale beigey shade here, so I'm going to put some of my burnt sienna in white. And I'm just going to see how this matches up. And I think it's pretty close in there, if you can see that. So, with my picture in hand, I'm going to get into this here section. In here, very, very light where that yellow is. This kind of comes down this way. So I'm trying to follow the way the hair is growing. I got a little bit of that umber shade. It seems to be right in this area, but it's a little bit lighter. A little lighter. Lighter. Need to get a little bit of lighter in there. Don't want yellow. Picked up a little yellow, so I'm going to rinse out my brush. Don't want to have that yellow in there. And I'm just kind of like following some of this. Let's see. Get some of that. So this is sort of a little bit lighter of the hair here. And I really want it to be lighter than that even. There we go. In here's a little bit light. Comes up in here. It's very dark right in here. Very, very dark. So I'm going into my umber. Sort of like right over that green. And there is lots of this dark in through here with some added raw sienna. So it's kind of raw siennas in through here some. See, your strokes just have to be like strokes, just little strokes. This sweet little dog here has a lot of this around his eyes, little Louie. Has it right in through there. It's almost pure. I'll get some of that umber here, because I think right around here, even though that's his out part out of his eyes there, it is kind of dark. So I'm just gonna kind of brush it like that. Lots of dark in through here. Lots of dark. So I'm going to get that in there. Okay. And then there's light mixtures in through all that. His little chin area is very dark. Very dark. Lots of dark hair. Comes around. So I just want to kind of get some of these darks in so that I can add the lights. And then of course his little fur is very, very dark. We might just leave it as it is right here because I don't want to put too many paint strokes into this. I might have to go somewhat lighter around his hair here so you can see it. Little patch of light right there and in here. Now, it's very dark right here, okay? So I'm going to get that in there, right in here, and it kind of comes down. Okay, over that. And then right next to it, it gets a little bit lighter, so I'm going to just combine a little bit of my umber and my sienna. Because it's still cool down here, but I think that'll help it. Lots of lighter through here. It's like it's going to be sort of like a gray shade, so I'm just going to get some of these little strokes in here. To this. And its hair's growing sort of that way. It's kind of slanted. His little hairs here, little slants. And you don't really have to get too much detail in this. You're basically just trying to get some of these colors that, or these, values that kind of look like him. And they don't have to be like, that's maybe just not the color I'm looking for. Kind of go pink on me. You're kind of like getting lights and darks together. And there's some of this down in through here. It looks like it's a direct wipe off my brush. I want to get this like just pure sienna. Okay, now I'm going to add some of my umber and some white. Get that grayish color. Add a titch of the ultramarine blue. So I'm getting like sort of a bluish gray mixture here. I kind of want that through in here, this color. It's just kind of throughout here. Moving some of that into this brown because you're having that undercoat there. You want that base. And just putting some of this on top of it. Okay, this is coming down like that. Now this is much lighter, so I'm going to go into my white. I'm not going to clean off my brush. Just mix what I have here on my brush into the white. Make this a little bit lighter here. Now, if you can see here, this is much lighter. It almost looks like a skin tone. So I'm going to put more white into my raw sienna, or burnt sienna, I'm sorry, burnt sienna. And we're going to put some more of that in here, because it's in here. And kind of like just getting painterly strokes with this time. Nothing bold or dramatic, just kind of, and I probably could use a smaller brush. Let's see. I don't know if this will work. This is a number 4 Bristle Bright, so we might need to get some of this in here as a bristle brush kind of thing. I'm in my burnt umber now. Needs to dry some more. Still got to get in that a little bit better too. Dark, 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 dark. Okay, I'm going to get into my raw sienna and some white. Make it kind of light. And put some right in here. Kind of highlight that a little bit. Oh dear, I need some more white on my palette here. Running out of white. And as I said before, this is what I'm using. Social Artworking Deco Art Titanium White. Okay, let's see, I want to get some more highlights in here. Okay, there we go. This has to be a nice bright shade right there, and in here also. I'm trying to get the shades of his hair, or her, Louie's hair. And I still have to make it look like hair yet, you know, so it takes a lot of practice and work to get this. Lots of work involved here. Lots. Lots and lots. Now, I want to get this a little bit better up in here. I'm just not real happy with that yet. So I'm mixing a little bit of my umber and my sienna. I don't know if that's going to help or not. I want this to be looking like an ear. And right now, it does not look like an ear to me. I want this to be a little darker in here. There we go. There we go. Just get that a little bit. And in here you have to have sort of like a little bit of a line, and there, it's kind of being lost now. So I'm going to put that back in there. And in here, you have to have a little darkness. Mixture, and we're gonna go over here. Let's see here, like here. Still want this to come out pretty light. This has to come into that a little bit. So I'm gonna need another brush for that. And I'm looking for my tiny, tiny little. Okay, so I have a number 4 shader. So I'm going to try to get in there with the burnt sienna. Try to get this in here a little bit better. Burnt sienna. Here, here. Actually might get some of his eyes in there, but I want to get this in first. Oops. Okay, put some of this in here. A little bit. Just kind of getting some of that dark in there. I'm going to put those eyes of his in there again. Get those nice and dark. He's got some big eyes. Big, big eyes. And he's got like a titch, just a titch of this sienna right in here. And then he's got this here area very dark. So I'm using black here. My Mars black. My Mars black. And it's coming around here. So I may have to fix that again. And around here. It's coming up a little bit here. Okay, I want to fix that because that doesn't look too good. Let's see here now, blend that a bit. Out. And then it gets light. So let's get some light in there. Let's get some light in here. This really gets close in there. And then of course this comes down. This is sort of like moving out, so I'm going to get some white. You're going to alternate back and forth with a lot of this, so, you know, just be conscientious of what you're doing in order to get this the way it's supposed to be. It's kind of like little short hairs through here, but they're a little shorter. It's really light in here, so I want to make sure I get that. Little Louie! Okay, and I want to get that white in there, but I don't want that to be pure white, so I am going to mix some of my umber, just a little bit of umber, and kind of make it almost like a grayish bluish color. Don't want a lot in there, but this needs to be a little bit more rounded. Oops. Oops, I got that in that. So, that's alright. That's alright. We can fix that. Just put a little bit more of this in. Okay, there we go. Now he's got like, it looks funny there, because it's a reflection from the camera, but all in all it is black. He's got these big pupils, so we're going to make that big around here. Kind of make it big like that. It looks a little strange. He's got these big brown eyes, and that's just going to blend into the brown. So just blend it in so that you almost can't see his pupil. And then we're going to add that little touch of umber and white, just a little bit around here, like here, because that's what the flash is showing. Then of course we're going to put her little highlights in around this area. Let's see, I want to make sure it's kind of lighter over here, so I'm going to get a little bit of my umber and white, mix it a little bit, and in here it's a little lighter here, lighter brown. Maybe we'll just go into our raw sienna. Get this around here. Oops. I'm going to get this smaller here so it doesn't look like it's all pupil. Just kind of blend that in very nicely. Just tap it in there. And in through here, we're going to cut that down a bit. So I'm getting some of my black because this needs to be a little smaller in through here. Almost has to go like that. And it comes around here. Okay, and then we go into our, hopefully this isn't going to be too muddy looking. Okay, there we go. Blend it out, blend it out, blend it away. We're going to probably put some more in here too. Okay. Now Louis has some big eyes, so you gotta be aware of that. Now I'm gonna add a couple little highlights here in Louis's eyes. There's one here, and there's one real close there. Oops. There's one here, and then there's a couple up in through here. Okay. So we know that Louis's eyes are pretty well complete. Now, I want to get some more of that raw sienna, or burnt sienna and white. I need to get that burnt sienna and white mixed. And I'm going to start putting some of this in through here. Okay, so it comes down like this, comes down. Okay. And then there's some that goes in here, here, okay, some in through here a little bit. Also up in here, we got to get some of that up in here, shade. And I'm using this little brush because it's giving me just enough that I need. There's some of that right in here, right in there. You really got to study your picture. You really got to make sure that you're getting what you need to get as far as the picture goes. I mean, I could be just painting anything, but I really need to follow my picture too. You can't just put this paint on and then hope for the best. You know, you have to really study what you have here. Okay, right in here, before it gets really, really dark, there is a lighter, it's a little too light. It's kind of like a lighter shade. So that might be too light also, so I might have to fix that. In through here, he's got some lightness also. There's going to be the umber. I go all over the place. I'm sorry if this is just stressing you. I tend to paint here and there wherever I feel my mood should be, you know, so it might cause some grief for you. And I do apologize for that. Up in here we got some of that. All through there actually. The umber shade. So I'm just going to kind of go over my green. Now I'm going to have to get my lighterness, my dark through here. So right now I'm just laying in this umber with the white. We got some of that sienna mixture in through here. Now this is where hopefully your underpainting will help you too, because there's quite a bit of that in here. Some lighter some light. This is real light here. So I want to make sure that's light. It's kind of light right in here. A few little light highlights through here. Some in through here. As it dries, it starts to get darker, so you have to keep an eye on what you're doing. Okay. In through here, this is very, very light. Very, very light. So I'm just going to mix my umber with a lot of white, or my raw sienna with a lot of white, and see how this forms. Probably have to put another kind of coat on here. Oop. Okay, let me get some water here into that because it's a little dry. Blending problems, dryness, you know, how that can be. Now I'm going to get my umber mixture with some of the blue again. And just put a few of these in. Just a few. Because what we want to do is get some of that, we want some of that underneath to show through. Now you don't have to put every hair on. It's just you're trying to indicate that there's hair. So you don't want to be putting every single hair. I noticed that some artists do that. Sometimes I think it's so tedious that it probably gets frustrating. You just kind of like indicate that this is a few hairs here, and you're good. And you're good. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of my burnt sienna, some blue, my ultramarine blue. Not a lot of blue. And right in here we want to get this going. Just kind of going over that pinky shade there. And we can make that pink shade a little bit more with some white and some of that burnt sienna. I'm going to get a little pinkish shade. You already got the pink there. I'm going to actually add a little pink to it. And we'll put that in here. A little bit of pink in there. Which he has over here a little bit too. A little touch of that. Maybe even up in here a little bit. Well, that's not going to come out to the pink that I want. Let's see here. Let's see. There we go. Got that in there. Okay. Okay, now let's see. I want to get a little bit of the darker brown, so I'm going to just go straight into my raw umber. And I am going to put these things in here. This has to have a little bit of brush strokes, so let me get a little water because it's starting to get a little dry on me. Just a tad. Oop. Where did I get that, I wonder? looks like a little triangle right there. Some hair that's coming down. A little water. And some of these little hairs. Okay. Little clumps of hair coming out of Louie's face here. And there's some that go this way. A couple little hairs that go that way. And of course we got his little mustache here. His little mustache. Little mustachio. This is real dark in here. Okay. A little bit of his grayness here. Let's see. Alright, so we've got our eye in there, and we're going to start working our way. Well, I think I'm going to start over here and just work my way down because I kind of like it that way. I'm going to start out again with my number 12. This is a social artworking bright. So number 12 looks a little smaller than normal, which, you know, every manufacturer does their own thing. So I'm going to get into my burnt sienna, kind of just go over this piece right here because I don't want it to be so light, and I'm just going to kind of bring it into that. Then I'm going to go into my raw umber, and I'm not even going to clean my brush at this point. I'm just going to go into it, and right in here I'm going to make this a little darker and feather it, just kind of feather it in with this brush. Just feather it in. Now, it looks like around his ear it's kind of light, so I'm going to mix a little white with my raw umber. Get that real pale. And it's going to be light here. And it goes up into this area. And there's like little hair sticking out here too. And it all comes around this here, and it gets lighter. Oh, excuse me. Guess I'm losing my voice. Too much talking. I think I want that just a tad lighter. It's still a little too dark. It's almost white. If you look at the picture, it almost has like a white, there we go, whiteness to it. And there's like something here. Just little feathery pieces. Right in here, it's very light, very light. So I'm going to grab more of my white into my umber there that I'm mixing. It's almost white. Right in here. And then it comes over this way, very light. And it's all kind of light in here. Some of that's coming over this way also. Okay. I'm just getting these lighter areas right now, since I have this little bit of lightness. This is kind of light in through here, but yet you want some of that pinkish shade to show through. So you're kind of just going over these things a bit. There is some dark in here. I'm going to get that. And this is sort of like a grayish shade. Right in here is light. I want to get those lights in there so that when I go over it with the darker shades, it'll look more natural for this dog. Just grab a little bit more of that light shade here. And I'm just following the way his coat goes. You know, it's just, you just want to kind of go the way that his hair is growing. Okay, we're going to get some of that, let's see, I want to get a grayish tone, so I am going to mix some of my umber. Let's find a spot here. My umber, a touch of the ultramarine blue, because I want to gray it down some. And then add a little white to it, just to kind of lighten it up. And you'll get something like that. And that's sort of like what you want. Now, just a touch. You don't want a lot. Okay, so right in here, there's this darker piece that comes down. There are some darker pieces in through here. Up in here, we know it's a little bit darker. So I'm going to get that in. There's a dark spot right in here where that green is. In through this area, very dark gray. Wipe off my brush a bit, because I want those strokes to show up. This might be too light. Sweet little Louie. He's adorable. Get a little bit of this in here, just a tad. A little nose. Just darken through that. Just this little touch of gray in through here. We're going to add a little lighter mixture also, but I want to get some of that in there. You know, you have to think about what comes next, I suppose. You know, you want to get some of your darks in so that you're able to put some of the lights in. So that's what we're trying to do or accomplish. That's kind of light there. This is good here. We're going to go into that lighter shade of that color. So I'm just going to mix up some white and gray that I mixed, just get it real light. And in through here, we're just going to go very lightly here. And get some lighter shades in there also. Here's some of his coat also comes out. Now there's a little dog tag there that I've missed, so I have to put that little dog tag in. Let's see. lighter. Just a little lighter on top. Let's see here. I'm going to mix some more white into that mixture. This is more gray through here. I mean, it's just a very, very almost white in through here. Almost white. Little short strokes I'm making. You can just see I'm not making large strokes, and I'm sorry if I'm putting that right in your view. I have to sometimes forget where my camera angle is. Ha! My camera angle. Okay, and we'll even make thinner strokes. I'm going to put this down on my palette. I still want to use that. I'm using this, I think it's a number 2 round. I'm going back into that light mixture, and I'm just going to get some very small strokes here if I can. I need to get some water. I need to get a little water on here. Kind of to thin it out some. I always try to thin it out, make it look sort of more like a consistency of ink. Ink-like. You have to watch the coat and which way it's going, and it's going all in different directions here. And I'm not using white, I'm just using off-white color with the raw umber that I put in here, but it looks, because it's going against these darker shades, it looks that way. It just looks that way. I'm going to get a little bit more white into that. It needs to be lighter. It needs to be somewhat lighter here. Should do this or not, but I'm going to do this a little bit down in through here. That's just a tad warmer. But on top of that, I'm going to put some of the other, that brown. I just want the raw umber, the cooler one. But I kind of wanted to blend that into that. Okay, and some here. Oh, I'm going to get some of that darker umber underneath here a little bit. You might have to do this several times in order to make it look natural, you know. I don't like to put every stroke in here, but you want to have some indication that the hair is going in these certain directions. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Okay, now I'm going back into my lighter shade, and I noticed that right there there's some which right in here I need that little bit of warmer, but I'm gonna mix it with some of my umber shade, because right in here Louie has like a little streak just a little underneath there. Okay, now I'll go over it with the lighter shade, just a few strokes just to cover that, like that. Okay, so that kind of looks like his hair there. Okay, so in here we know it's pretty warm. So I'm going to go into my umber, my sienna, my burnt sienna. And I'm just going to kind of like get some of this in here. Right in here. He has a lot of this shade. So I'm just getting my base in there. I'm going to put that one in the water. Rinse out my other brush. Now we want to get some of his nose in there too. Now I'm going to go in some of my black. Well, I better wait for that one yet. Not quite there. Not quite there. Okay, in here we want to put some of this in. Not a lot. In through here we're gonna. Now the hardest part on this is going to be his scarf, only because there's a ton of little stars on there. If you can see those in the picture, how those stars are. So that might be our most difficult situation on this dog. Lightness in here breaks this up a bit. Okay, there's some of that in here. Some of the burnt sienna that comes through here a little bit. Definitely through here, like that. And of course we have some that's coming out here. Then it starts to go into the umber, which is a little bit darker, so that's what we want around his little face. It has to be pretty dark. So we might have to get some lighter in there in order for this to show up. So I'm thinking I might have to just stick in some, let's see, some of the sienna. We'll get that. Especially around his nose, it's really got kind of a feeling there. That warmth. Warmth around that areas. Got to get that in there, and in here also. Even in here, we have that warmth. Then when we put the umber on top of it, it pops it out somewhat. This is pretty light in there. I'm going to go into my, I'm going to rinse this out. It's pretty light. Right in through this area. So I'm going to put in my mixture of umber blue and some white and just kind of get this in. Get it in there. Also, I want to get some of that light in through here. Look at the tips here. Around the eye. I want that light in here. There's also some of this in here. Just taking short little strokes. Short strokes. And I'll get that gray. Just have to get that more gray. That needs to be more gray there. More of the lighter, well, let's start with that darker color here. Then we can go over it with the light. A little light through here, a little bit. Then it kind of gets white again. There's some white that shows through. There is some dark that goes through this, so I'm going to get that in there too. Just kind of, and then we'll top off some light, just a few little light pieces here. A little bit of light in through there. And it's sort of like a pinkish shade of brown here. So I think what I'm doing is I'm going to add my raw sienna with a touch of the quinacridone red. Just kind of give it a pinkish shade. Because right in here, it's sort of that shade of pink. You can see it just coming through a little bit. But you can also see the yellow underneath, so we just want to make sure we get some of that in there. And we'll go back to our sienna and some white. Just some white. Like that. Get a little bit more white in that. Okay. I think I made it a little too light. So if I stop talking for a little bit, that's because I'm concentrating on this. I really need to make sure this is what I want and that I have the lights in the areas that I need them to be. It's very light there. Okay, very light. Okay. Let's see here. I might just tap it in here. And in here, there's just a little bit of light. And it comes down in here, like right in through there, but that's a little too light. So I just want to get some of that umber again. And I always follow my pictures. I mean, I try to get them as close as I can. It's kind of hard when you're looking at a photograph because if you look at the photograph, it doesn't have like all the dimension and details like that you're looking for. So it gets a little crazy as far as, you know, trying to be exact on things. But you can get pretty close. You can get pretty close to it. Light here, just a little lighter. Here, it's very light, very, very light in through here. Little eyes. Now, believe it or not, when I did this, I used white and the burnt sienna, and it looks so white there, doesn't it? Lose my dark there. I'm losing it. Putting it back in just to get what I need there. Okay. Excuse me. Once again, I'm flared up there with my voice. This. It's way too light. Way too light. Okay. He's adorable, this dog. I think he's just such a cutie pie. His owners must be thrilled with him. They would have to be. They would definitely have to be. chance there we could go. Right here it's a little darker. Into my grayer mixture. Right above this, it's a little bit more gray mix. Trying to not go to the eye because I don't have that eye in yet. So just all starts to come together. Just comes together. Okay, so it's some of this dark here, right in his little, right here. It's a little bit dark from his lip. It comes to be a bit darker. I want to get that lip in too. Let's see here. Comes around. Oops, I might have to go with my little round brush here. Yeah, I did that. I didn't want it to be that way. Okay, so we're going to come around right into here. Now he's got some teeth there, so we just don't want to. This is kind of light through here a little bit. Okay. And then in here, it's very dark. So I'm going to mix a little bit of my black with that brown umber. I want this to be very dark right in here. Right in here. It comes up. It's dark. Because his little teeth are there showing. I'm going to just get around that nose a little bit. There's some dark through here. His little black nose, but it's not totally black. So we want to make sure that we outline it sort of like in black, but it has some gray to it too. If you kind of look at his nose, there's a little circle right here. Comes down like that, like that, and then there's this one that comes around like this, and that's like that. It's pretty big there. This could come down a little bit more. It's very dark up and through here. Very dark in through here, also through here. It's like a little divot-y thing. I can see, oops, too much paint on my brush. And it does come up like this a little bit. A little bit more. And there's just this little thing that comes over this way. And it also has it here. But then it's got like a lot of gray going through it, so I've got to get that gray mixed in. And this kind of almost hits this here. Comes down to here. And comes up. So now I'm going to go into my grayish mixture and do this to blend it. I want to be able to blend this in. It's kind of gray through here. It's all going to be gray with a touch of white in there, but notice too that right underneath here it's pretty dark. Pretty doggone dark. Okay, and then this gray mixture, some of it right in here, kind of. Okay, we might have to get a little bit lighter here so that you can tell it's the gray mixture. It's a little bit too dark, I think. A little too dark. So I want this to come in through here a bit. Same with this, it comes around a little bit. Just come up like that. A little bit of black. Isn't that cute? It's starting to pop up. Now I'm going to get a little bit more white because I want really a light gray light, very light. Because right here there's like a highlight. It's a highlight here. Highlighted. And it comes around a little bit here. Definitely right in here there's a highlight and a little one right in here. So there's a little bit of a brownish color right in through here. So I'm going to wipe that off. Go into my umber. Get that brown in there and then go over it with some black. To blend it. So I'm blending upward. Kind of just letting it happen. Just let it happen. Go to the contour of the nose the way it is. There we go. Okay, let's see now. I want that dark, but it gets a little bit lighter in through here. And it's not a very drastic light. So I'm just going to go into my sienna. Maybe some of my umber. Mix it. Just so that we know that there's a difference here. Right in through here. It's like different. No, it's different. And Louie's eye. I've got to get that little bit of gray in his eye. Just a little that comes right around here. It's just a touch. It's not even white like the other side. It's very dull. And then he has that outline around his eye that's very dark. So I'm going to do that with my number 2 round. Right underneath here. Right around here. And around his eye, it's very dark there. Okay. And then he's got this pupil that kind of almost blends in with that, which is sort of weird. And then he has a dark brown eye. So we're just going to put the dark brown in, kind of blend it with the pupil, just like that. And up at the top, it's kind of light. A little bit of light goes in there. Right in here, it's a little lighter. That might not even show up right now. I might have to get a little bit. And it actually comes around here, so I'm just going to come around with that. Okay. And I'm going to add a little bit of that up here too, because he has some light up in here also. Okay, and then he has like a couple little dots of white, so I'm going to just use the back of my brush. I think I got some. Oh, I'm holding this up over that. I am so sorry. I'm just, I love to cover up my work. Okay. So right here, there's a little dot. And then there's a couple right here, right there. That gives them a little personality. So let's see here. We got to get a couple teeth in there. His teeth aren't real white. And nothing, like I said, is real white. So I'm just going to get some white off to the side here on my palettes. You can't see it. And maybe pick up just a dab of yellow to it. Just a dab. Not a lot. I mean, his teeth aren't yellow, but, you know, they're just a little... need to have... And then I'm probably going to add a little gray to it. It's got a tooth that comes up here also. Okay. Now, let's see. I'll add a little touch of the gray. Just a tad. Just so you can tell that his, well, that might be too light. Might be too light. Okay, this tooth here. Okay, let me wait till that dries a bit. I'm going to get some of that light shade anyways and put it in through here because I think we need this more. It's going to be lighter. Might be a little too light here, but... little areas need a little extra punch. Little extra punch. Okay. I want to bring his lip down a little bit. It looks like it's a little bigger than I have it here. I might have had to bring it down here this way. I might have just a touch of black there too. Get it really dark. Just the outline here. Like that. His nose comes down some. Oops. Just like that, a little bit. Actually, it comes down. So let me put a little of the light gray mixture right underneath that a little bit. Comes down here. And it kind of flattens out here. Then it comes up a bit, like that. His little nose. Okay. A little bit of white on my brush, not rinsing it out or anything. I just want to get some of these little extra light pieces in through here because there's some real light spots in here. Very light. you know, before the dark gets in, you need these little pieces of light. Okay. Get some of those in here also. Some through here. This is kind of almost dry brushing right on top of that stuff. He's cute. Okay. Some more of the darker gray. And we're going to put it this way. Okay. Get this up a little bit in here. I think it should be a little bit more here. Okay, so we got all that. Now we want to just kind of get some lighter shades of this shade here, this light shade. Just kind of have some of these little hairs coming out over here. Some of these little hairs. Okay, put some more of these in. A couple of these little hairs. This is where you can get some of your detail in, where it connects to this. Get a couple of these little things in. Kind of just bring some of that up. Just bring some of them up. I actually think this is pretty dark, so I'm going to go into my umber shade. Get that up here. I'm going to get some. I'm sorry. I hope that when I hold this up, that it's not covering things. I get so involved and I don't realize what I'm doing. So I apologize. Hopefully I'm not covering things up for you. Okay. Putting more dark. There's this one that comes right on over this, and it has to be pretty dark. So it's almost black. So that one comes down like that. These are just little hairs also that are dark. I'm just going to use them. Give me some more of that dark umber. There's some that just kind of go like this. Some of them. You have to get those little details in there. Okay, let's see if we can get that to work. And get some of the umber one with the gray umber. Okay, get some light umber there, wet it. They come out. One's coming out this way. This is where the hair really matters, is around the face. So you're going to need this to some, let's see if I can get some of this sienna lighter. I think I really need some lighter shades here. Maybe not. Okay, up in here, this has to be kind of filled in here. His eye, and his eye needs to get a little darker around the eye here. I'm going to get some of the umber, kind of get that to go in. Can you see? I hope you can see what I'm doing, just covering in this eye a little bit. Then I'm going to bring some of those out like that. Get some of my raw or burnt sienna on my brush, kind of just go through that again. Now in through here, there is a little bit of lightness, so I'm going to go with my lighter raw sienna. And it comes like over and down like that. There's like a little bump right here, little bump. Okay. There is some lightness in there. Let's see if I can get that. Right in here, it's sort of like a pinkish color. So I'm just gonna go into my sienna again and just put some of this back in. Get that little bit of pink right in through here. One thing that's nice about acrylics is when they dry, you can go right over it. You know, if you feel like you need to get a little bit more in there, yeah, that's what helps. A little bit light, maybe a little lighter. And then I notice this one here, it comes over, and then there's a little bit of a divot here, and it comes up and down. There's one that comes down, there's some that comes down this way. Okay. Now let's see here. Around here we've got this little bunch that comes this way. There's one big one. So I'm going to get a little black on my brush to get some of these ones that are pretty strong. This right in here, it needs to be just a tad bit lighter. Let's see if this will work. Just a tad bit lighter. Maybe that'll help there. So that you know that's his eye there. Okay, so there's some of this raw umber. I'm going to get right in here. Comes down into this too, is a little, and it's also some of that sienna. So I want to get some of these in first. Actually, I should probably do the lips first before I do that. Okay, so some of that black right here comes out from the lip. And there's a big one that comes down. There's some that come through here as well. He's adorable. Absolutely gorgeous. He's just so sweet. Okay, so there's some real pale, like a pinkish burnt sienna that comes out here. I want to get that. Very high. No, it should be a little whiter. Needs to be a tad bit white. Okay, so right in here, one comes down. Very big one here. Very much so. Some light here. Some up here also. It's not as bright up here but there is some brightness. Let me see. Right in here. Just a tad of white light. There's some through here. Part of his hair. Okay, so I get some of that gray that I mixed with a little bit of white. Because right in here, there's that. A little white there. Some highlight in here too, because it'll take on the underneath coat, which we want to do. Okay, a little bit of this shade here to go in here. A little lighter. Maybe we'll go with this. Just a tad light. Get that peachy shade almost. I want that to be more peachy. Okay, blend it. Just blend right over it. Get some of those hairs through there. Okay, let's see here. Now this has to come up a little bit, like right in here. It's dark. Okay, get some more of that nice brown in through here so it's not so bold looking. Get some of the gray around some of this. So I think at this point we're going to stop. This will be our part 2. And we will come back and finish it up. It is a long, long painting because you just want to get it right. You just want to make sure he is similar. It's almost like drawing a person. Not as hard, but it can be. It can be just if you're not careful. So we just want to make sure we have everything the way we want it. Kind of smooth over some of this so it looks more natural. And just kind of enjoy what we're doing here. So our next part on this, we are going to be doing the scarf. We're going to finish up Louis, see if he needs any more adjustments, and we'll finish him up. I got to do his tongue and his scarf are the next steps. So until next time, then we will see you back in the studio. Before I go, though, I see I should make this a little darker. So I'm going to do that, put in a couple little fine hairs here. Get him a little darker through here. That's what we need. And a little bit of light on top of it. Like right here. We need some light. And notice I am actually drawing right now. I'm not holding my brush back far enough because I want to kind of draw this in. It has to be kind of light and drawn. Just because you want to smooth everything, make it look more natural. And you can only do that through this, holding that pen, holding this close. Now right here, before I do sign off, I see little things that need to be adjusted. He has like a little bit of gray right here. So I want to get that in there a little bit, even into his eye there. And it comes out like that. Okay. Put some more of that gray in through here. Needs that gray in there. But it has that bottom part, so that's what's something you want to do too. So, okay, so we've got that part in. We've got all the, you know, as much as I probably want to do here. I get his mouth and then the scarf, which is going to take a little bit of time because of the designs in here. They're little stars. I'm not sure if you want to do stars. I got to get his little tag in. But other than that, I mean, we're almost pretty close to done. I noticed also on his coat over here that there is some white little strands. So I'm going to go into my real light mixture that I had. Kind of get it nice and wet. And just put a few little hairs that are coming up here. And you're just going to go very lightly on his coat. And this'll tell everybody also that this is part of Louie's coat, and it doesn't blend so much into the background. But there's like these little hairs that are sticking up that are real light. There we go. And on the side here, I might as well cover that up too, because you want your sides to look nice. I missed a couple spots. Okay. Louie's adorable. I just love this dog. Just like my little doggy. Okay, so until next time, we'll see you again. Have a good day.